Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel today. Today we're going to be talking about the NFL schedule that released just a couple days ago. I'm going to be highlighting a few games or a few matchups from each week that I really like. I'm going to talk about them, talk about why they're important, and why I'm so excited for them. I just want to say a couple of things before we get into my list. A, congrats to all the social media teams who absolutely killed it with their schedule reveal. Teams that come to mind are like the Chargers, the Bears, the Jaguars. The Jaguars was probably my personal favorite with what they did this year with the whole comedy skit. That was awesome. Hats off to you guys. You guys are killing it. Number two, some people don't think that the schedule release is an important event. And I would say it's an important event for a few reasons. A, obviously, it's very exciting, to see when and where your team is going to play their games. But also, schedule matters, guys. Like, it is a very significant thing to see when you're facing your opponents, where you're facing your opponents, at what time of the year. Um, for example, right? If you're playing a lot of very physical football teams at the end of the year, right before the playoffs. You could be a little beaten up before the playoffs if you have to play, you know, a division rival at their home late in the year. It's probably not good. If you're going to play one of these talented young quarterbacks, you probably want to play them earlier in the year before they're completely acclimated to the NFL and everything like that. So the schedule matters. It is a very important thing. So we're just going to go over kind of some of my favorite matchups, some of my favorite weeks, and everything like that. But obviously, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And I will be continuing my banger streak of banger videos. You guys have been absolutely killing it lately, like legitimately killing it. So I appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and get right to the list. Week one, starting with the opening week in the NFL year. The NFL likes to pack a lot of big games week one to get us hooked early on. Smart business strategy. And the first game of the year is always that Thursday game, and that's going to be the Lions at the Chiefs. I think this is an interesting game for a couple of reasons. A, obviously the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, so they're always going to be they're on this list a lot. Spoiler, but the Lions I think are a very interesting team to put against them week one because the Lions are a team that a lot of people have high expectations for. They're a team that according to a lot of people, including myself, I think they got a lot better in the offseason. So it's an early litmus test to how legit the Detroit Lions are. But unfortunately for them, Andy Reid now has 3 months to prepare. So Andy Reid, Andy Reid's like Batman. When you give him enough prep time, he ain't losing. So I'm sorry for the Lions fans, but I do think that this will be a fun game. I do think this will be two playoff teams when we, look back at the end of the year, and I'm excited to start the year off with a bang. Additionally, you gotta love, Bears Packers. I know that you guys probably don't care because the Bears and the Packers probably won't be playoff teams this year. But as somebody who lives over here, Bears Packers is always fun. It's always exciting, and this will be the first Bears Packers game without Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre for a very long time. I'm talking about like without injuries and stuff, right? Like not even on the roster. This will be the first Bears Packers game without either of those two guys. That's a very historic thing, and I'm excited to see the new era of the rivalry with Justin Fields going against Jordan Love. I also really like in Week One Miami going to the Chargers. Last year was one of the most hyped games of the year. Herbert and Tua. I really like this game. I think it's going to be a good Week One matchup, and I think that hopefully, Dolphins can do a little bit more than they did against Chargers last time. And then to finish it off in Week One, I like Buffalo going at New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers' first game as a Packer. He's got to play the big boy in the conference. He's got to play Josh Allen. It'll be an early test for the Jets to see how legit they are, how good Aaron Rodgers is going to be, how he looks directly compared to Josh Allen. So we'll see. Very excited for that Week One. Going on to Week Two, I have my second Detroit Lions game, and that's going to be Seattle at Detroit. Last year when they played, their game was very high scoring, and I think that we're probably going to get a lot of the same. I don't think Detroit's defense, the young guys, will be up to speed yet. Playing against Mahomes, they're probably going to be scratching their heads and looking around a whole lot. And then you have to play Seattle the next week, which is they're obviously no scrubs either. And I think that'll be a fun game between two possible playoff teams, and we'll see how that game goes. Again, in week 2, we have the Chiefs at the Jaguars. Again, I really like these matchups between the high powers in the AFC. You know, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Jaguars, the Bills, the Bengals, all those key teams kind of blending together and playing each other. I think it's going to be really great. It's in Jacksonville, so the Jags get a break where they don't have to go to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. And for a team that, you know, almost beat Kansas City in the playoffs, granted, Mahomes did get hurt, but for a team that almost beat Kansas City, I think that they're kind of feeling themselves a little bit. I would not be surprised if Jacksonville snuck out a win earlier in the year and proved that they are legit like they were last year. Um, Going on to week 3, the only game that I really love in week 3 is the Monday Night Football matchup between the Rams at the Bengals. Not that I think this is necessarily going to be a blow for blow heavyweight title fight, but I do appreciate the Super Bowl rematch, and to see a direct comparison between how the Bengals have responded after the Super Bowl and how the Rams have responded. Additionally, the Rams, they could bounce back this year. I mean, obviously, they hope they do, but having to play the Bengals early in the year in Cincinnati, not ideal. Not ideal for the Rams. Um, I do have a couple of games in week 4 that I really like. I like Detroit at Green Bay. That's the Thursday night game. Again, divisional matchup. Really think that's good. Detroit gets lucky that they don't have to go to Green Bay later in the year, because one of the biggest advantages of playing at Green Bay is the freezing cold and the snow and everything. Detroit gets to avoid that. They play later in the year in Detroit in the dome, so it's not weather's not a factor. Miami then has to go play Buffalo in week 4 as well. Like I said, that AFC East is going to be loaded this year. It's going to be a dogfight. Every divisional game is going to be a dogfight, and I'm so excited for it. Week 4, speaking of the AFC East, Kansas City then has to go to New York Jets to play Aaron Rodgers. Very excited to see Rodgers versus Mahomes, and to see how Robert Saleh cooks up a plan to stop Patrick Mahomes. If you remember, Mahomes actually beat him in the Super Bowl as well. So not only is this fun to see Rodgers versus Mahomes, but it's also going to be fun to see Robert Saleh versus Patrick Mahomes, and to see what he does differently in this matchup than he did in the Super Bowl. And then the Monday night game this week is Seattle and at New York Giants. I think that'll be fun. Two, I think, NFC wildcard teams, their game was pretty close last year, so I expect another pretty good game from the G-Men. Week 5, then we have the Jaguars going to at Buffalo, but it's not actually at Buffalo. It's actually in London, but it is technically a home game for the Bills. Um, Jaguars again have to play a really good AFC team, but they get lucky because they have to play Buffalo. Not in Buffalo, not in the cold. They're going to play in London. Last year, the Jaguars won in London. I believe they beat the Broncos, so um, that's good for them. Again, I really like these early matchups against the AFC teams. Maybe, they kind of catch a few losses, but I think when the playoffs come, they'll be fresher. They'll not have to play all these physical teams. Buffalo is obviously a very physical team. This, to me, is going to be the first, really good game in London, because, not going to lie, the other London games have kind of been between the shitters. But this will be the first really good game in London, so I'm looking forward to it in week 5. Also, I really like Dallas at San Francisco for the Sunday Night Football game this week, a matchup, a rematch, rather, of the last 2 divisional rounds in the NFC in which the 49ers beat them. So hopefully Dallas can get some revenge and beat the 49ers here. Week 6, I really like a few matchups in this game. I like Seattle at Cincy. Now, Seattle's on this list a few times. I wonder why, right? But I think Seattle's going to be a legit team, and they have to play a few legit teams. So I think it's going to be good, good content for the NFL. I like Philly going to at New York Jets. Like I said, the intrigue of Aaron Rodgers, either the way he makes the Jets better or the way that it's a colossal failure. Either way, I want to watch it. They have to go to New York, the Eagles do, to play the Jets, and then the Giants are going to play the Bills on Sunday Night Football. That is going to be a really good matchup. I'm excited to see I'm excited to see Josh Allen go against Danny Dimes in prime time. Week 7, I like the Chargers going to the Chiefs. That AFC West is also going to be a dogfight. The Chargers had them this close twice last year and were just not able to finish it, unfortunately. And Kansas City just kind of always bullshits their way into another win, so they might do that again. But these wins in the division are going to be crucial for the time for the playoffs, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the video. But when the playoffs start getting on everybody's mind and the standings are all but done, those division games are really going to come back to matter, right? So these early division games are important. And then Miami and Philly. I mean, who doesn't want to see Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa and on Sunday Night Football in prime time? That's going to be so much fun. Week 8, I like the Jets and Giants simply because I just like the New York thing. I kind of like the fact that one of those teams is going to have to be in their away locker room, even though they live there, But whatever. Um, and then week 8, I really like the Bears and the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Something about Justin Fields and Justin Herbert in the bright lights of Sunday Night Football, I think is going to be really fun. The Bears, I think they're not going to be a playoff team, but I think they'll definitely improve. And maybe, they catch the nation's eye on primetime and steal one from Justin Herbert. In week 9, love Miami and Kansas City playing against each other. They're playing in Germany, so the international schedule this year is a lot better than I think it's been in years past. Also have Dallas and Philly. Again, a dogfight divisional game. Always love that. And then also have Buffalo at Cincinnati, Sunday Night Football. That's going to be an early game of the year candidate for so many reasons. Obviously, there was the DeMar Hamlin game last year. There was the divisional game last year. These two teams are going to be top dogs in the AFC, barring a major injury. So very excited to see those two duke it out. Hopefully, again, everybody stays healthy and nothing happens like last year in the regular season. But very excited to watch Buffalo at Cincinnati on Sunday Night Football. Week 10, got the 49ers and the Jaguars. Can Trevor Lawrence beat the vaunted 49ers defense? We'll find out. I think that's, again, going to be a really good game for the standings. The Jaguars do kind of have a little tough stretch here, like I just said in the last couple of weeks, but playing the 49ers in the middle of the year is no joke, and he'll have to prove that him and the Jaguars are legit by beating the 49ers. And then week 10, we have Denver at Buffalo Monday Night Football. I hope the Broncos can improve a little bit, but again, I think if they are led by Sean Payton, then they'll definitely do much better than they were last year with Nathaniel Hackett. So this probably won't be an easy game. Denver's defense is always at the bare minimum respectable, and if Russell Wilson can figure it out, then they could be a dangerous team to go against Buffalo on a Monday night. Week 11, we have the Eagles at the Chiefs. I don't even need to explain why this one is a significant matchup. That one's on Monday Night Football. The Monday Night Football schedule is actually pretty good this year. I like the primetime games. I don't need to explain why it's a significant matchup. Watch the Super Bowl and you'll know. But yeah, I think I saw a stat as well that Andy Reid is like 4-0 against the Eagles since becoming the Chiefs head coach, which is crazy. So I'm sure the Eagles will be wanting some revenge, to say the very least. In week 12, we have Miami at the Jets. That's going to be on Black Friday, the first ever Black Friday game. So pretty cool there. I like that matchup late in the year, or like in the middle of the year-ish. Again, those divisional games are going to be very huge. They're going to be dogfights. Hopefully, Tua is still healthy at this point, so we get a decent game. But if he is, then I'm very excited for that matchup. Buffalo at Philly, two legit Super Bowl contenders going at it. Philly has to play the Chiefs week 11 and the Bills week 12. That's a brutal couple of games, and we're going to really test their fortitude, I think, in that stretch. And then week 12, we got Baltimore at the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. The Chargers got a lot of primetime games this year, so we'll really get to see if Justin Herbert is good under the lights. I think he is, but Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert in a primetime game, you can't beat it. I really love that, so that's great. Then after that, we have the Thanksgiving games. I'm just going to talk about them. We have in the early window, Green Bay at Detroit. Detroit always plays on Thanksgiving, so to see them going against a division rival is cool. Washington at Dallas, and then the late game, which is my personal favorite, San Francisco at Seattle. I don't know if you guys remember in the peak Legion of Boom days, but San Francisco used to come to Seattle or vice versa to play on Thanksgiving, and those games were awesome. I loved watching Russell Wilson make the 49ers look stupid, surrounded by a bunch of food and my family. It was good times. But then in week 13, a couple other games that I really like. Seattle, this is significant, I promise. Seattle at Dallas for Thursday Night Football, which sucks because then they have to play 2 straight Thursday night games. So you have the 4 days rest from the previous week, play Thursday, played another week, play Thursday. So we'll kind of see how that works and how that schedule kind of matters with back-to-back Thursday games. I don't really like that, but I think it's significant at least for that reason. And of course, Seattle and Dallas are going to be 2 playoff teams, so it'll be a good matchup late in the year. I also love San Francisco at Philly, week 13. Hopefully, the 49ers have a quarterback for this game so we can actually get a good matchup. But that is going to be a great game for the viewers. And then I love Cincinnati at the Jaguars, Monday Night Football. I said earlier in the year, earlier in the video, excuse me, that the where you play your opponents matters. I think the Bengals have a big home field advantage, but the Jaguars luck out because the Jaguars are able to get them on at home in the middle of the year. So good for them. Week 14, I really like Buffalo and Kansas City, two of the premier powers in the AFC. Late in the year, they're going to be competing for the seeding in terms of who gets the 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed. And like I said, home field advantage is huge. Playing in Kansas City is way different than playing in Buffalo, if that's what it came out to be for like the AFC Championship or whatever. That would be a massive advantage for whichever team gets that. So let's go to week 15. I like Dallas and Buffalo. Dallas and Buffalo. Dallas is going to be competing for the playoffs to get in the wild card, in my opinion, and Buffalo is going to be competing for one of those high seeds in the AFC. And then I also really like Baltimore at Jacksonville. Again, you have to play a really good team with a really elite quarterback, but you get the benefit of being able to play at home. So good for the Jaguars. Um, week 16, I really like Buffalo at the Chargers. The Chargers are going to be scratching and clawing for a playoff spot, I imagine, with the Chiefs probably winning that division. And I think that's again just Buffalo's just a good team. It's good to play them late in the year. Chargers luck out because they get to play them in Los Angeles in the dome, not in the freezing cold of Buffalo. So that's good for the Chargers. Dallas at Miami. That's going to be on Christmas Eve. Excited to see that one. And then the Christmas games are going to be the Raiders at the Chiefs. It's going to be the Giants at the Eagles, and then it's going to be Baltimore at San Francisco. Those are three really good games between playoff teams. Last year, the Christmas games were okay. Miami and Green Bay wasn't that good, and then Denver and the Rams was kind of a shit show as well. But it looks like we have a pretty good lineup this year for Christmas, so excited for that. The holiday games this year are really good. And then week 17 and 18, these are the two big weeks for the playoff seeding and everything like that. Week 17, Detroit at Dallas. Again, Detroit, if you want to cement yourself as one of these legit teams in the NFL, you got to beat teams like Dallas late in the year to ensure yourself a playoff spot. The Lions probably will clinch the North this week, would be my guess. Week 17, we got Miami at Baltimore. Again, that was a classic game last year, 2 through 6 touchdown passes. It was a great game. Both of these teams are going to be competing. They have better teams in their division. They're going to be competing for a wild card spot. This is going to be a great matchup. And then love Cincinnati at Kansas City late in the year. I'm gonna guess that we'll probably get a rematch of that in a few weeks from then. But week 17, you can't beat it. And then week 18, the week for the divisional games. Again, this is gonna be: do you want to get in the playoffs? Do you not want to get in the playoffs? It's do or die right now. Buffalo at Miami, Pittsburgh at Baltimore, Kansas City at the Chargers. All of those games have playoff implications at the very least, and I'm excited to see all of them. So those are kind of a lot of the games that I really am looking forward to this year. I'm just looking at the schedule, just released a couple days ago. But you guys let me know what you think down below. What are some of your favorite games? And actually, I want you guys to comment what you think the record of your favorite team is going to be. And I will look through some of those and I'll let you guys know what I think. But until then, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace out.